Well, hello everyone. Tony DeBone, Deschutes County Commissioner, one of three. 2010, I stepped up from Southern Deschutes County, groundwater protection, septic systems in the rural county, and I ran against the incumbent, won in the primary. I didn't even know what I was getting in for. I just had enough of an attitude and the one topic that got me started, and I won the primary. And then what? So then I did win in the general. But I'm honored to be serving here at Deschutes County's level of government. Remember, the Board of Commissioners, the three of us, we're kind of the policy and budget front end of the county. We have the budget authority, the district attorney, the sheriff, the assessor, the treasurer, the clerk, the justice of the peace are countywide elected officials also, and we're the board for the county. So we've got that budget and policy front end. We just appointed a sheriff about 2 weeks ago. What a shame, kind of the soap opera around the leadership of the office. But everybody out in the field is doing a great job. So we're getting past that now. Ty Rupert's going to be our county sheriff, and looking forward to working with him for years to come. I'm going to go down a list of topics. And if anybody wants to raise or say this is the one today, and I could talk about all of them. Oh, well, here we go before I even list topics.
I was kind of out of the loop on that. The sheriff, did we change sheriffs because of Silver?
Yeah, let me explain. Well, it was all over the news. Isn't this interesting, though? Not everybody's getting the same information these days. So Shane Nelson was our Deschutes County sheriff and chose not to run again, so a few people stepped up. Kent Vanderkamp had won the election, and it was still just turmoil in the front office. But then Vanderkamp got on the Brady list from the DA's office because he wasn't truthful about his resume. Why even change your resume after the fact? And then he walked away July 31st, so he was just elected. So then it comes to the Board of Commissioners, because it's just 6 months after an election. Last fall's election, January 1st, was the seating of that position. So the Board of Commissioners selected from 5 applicants to select a new sheriff to finish this to midterm. So now that this happened, somebody's got to run for office next year again already, too. So yeah, it's kind of a soap opera, yeah. But does that answer your question there? It's kind of a bigger picture on that. So as I say, I'm going to just mention a bunch of stuff. So Core 3, Public Safety, Ready Response and Resilience Center, just north of the airport. Deschutes County Fairgrounds Master Plan. Solid waste siting. We're trying to find a new landfill in Deschutes County. Thornburg Appeals, and that's already been mentioned. Homeless, unsanctioned camping, big topic of our world. Fire maps is what we talked about at our board meeting today. Remember, the legislature basically backed off some fire maps. We had to change some code to align with it. Going to 5 county commissioners from 3. Next May, that's happening. The east side of Redmond is being master planned, or just a high-level vision about what could happen from the edge of the town to the BLM land on the east, the whole east side, and that's county land. A big airport project is happening right now. So we're going to go from walking up the ramps into the plane to the big jetways, which the people sucker ramps there. And then we were just talking power. So Newberry geothermal is happening. So there's people drilling right now 10,000 feet into the rock to see if the geothermal could work on the side of Newberry. So that's just a smattering of topics. Is anything you want to start with?
Redistricting?
Oh yeah, so that's going to 5 commissioners concept. So petition was put out to go to nonpartisan seats for the Board of Commissioners a couple years ago now. And then following that was a petition voted on by the people to go to 5 seats. So those were 2 different times those were on the ballot. Obviously the voters are like, oh yeah, nonpartisan seats. That makes sense. I don't want it so partisan. Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the councils, I'm referring to city council, that say they're nonpartisan. It's the most partisan thing you ever saw, so whatever. And then going from 3 to 5. What are we trying to do? What are we fixing? What's broken, right? And so I'm receiving that as a sitting commissioner. Oh, we've determined that we want to go to 5 commissioners. People voted 60-something% for it. It seemed to me the thing to do, but now we have more personalities, more people in the front office, and it's coming next year. It hasn't been done for a district. There's no districts associated with this. So the people that put this together are just taking these little chunks. As I say, very political. It's upsetting for me, but that's the way it is. Remember 2006, the leadership out of Redmond is where the a petition to go to a charter form of Deschutes County government, 2006, and it was going to go to 5 part-time commissioners, and it did not pass. So that was 21 years ago. It was on the ballot for this. So now it's being chipped away at, let's fix something. But I still don't know what's broken from my point of view. That's just the way it is. So we, the Board of Commissioners, have asked a group of people 7 citizens, to put a map together, a proposed map for districts. The best we can do is have that map come to the Board of Commissioners. Board of Commissioners has the authority to put something on the ballot for the decisions of the voters of the county, countywide ballot. And so we're going to do that for next May is the plan. The goal is to have a map for you to vote on for 5 districts. Obviously, gerrymandering is the topic in the national news right now. People accuse left and right, in urban and rural. It's already bubbling, but nobody even did anything yet. But the idea is to get a map. And there's about 200,000 people in Deschutes County. So then you divide that by 5, that's 40,000 people. City of Bend is about 100,000. Redmond's getting to 40.
What you say again about there's a commission that's going to district and the council won't be involved, the commissioners won't be involved in choosing.
Yep, yeah, so we've just, about 2 weeks ago, we selected 7 people, and that was just direct appointments by people that we know. I put 2 people on, Commissioner Adair put 2 people on, Commissioner Chang selected 3 people. And that's already a partisan play, though, because why wouldn't 3 commissioners select 3 people? Some people said, well, we need 15 people. We need 25 people to study this. And then I said, no. Let's make it smaller. It's going to be a public meeting. It'll be out in the public, on the table. People look at the maps. So Commissioner Adair and I decided, how about we go smaller on this? Because, as I said, Commissioner Chang was already assuming that we were going to tilt the playing field or whatever. So he appointed 3 people. But it'll be a public process by 7 people to come up with 5 districts, generally 40,000 people each. And then we'll put it on the ballot for next May. So then think about this. There's all kinds of dynamics here because 5 commissioners. Next May, my seat, Commissioner Adair's seat, plus 2 new seats are going to be on the ballot in May. Nonpartisan, at-large seats are going to be on the ballot in May. And so if we pass that districting plan, it won't come into play for 2 years. So no matter what we do, next year we're going to have 4 seats that'll be nonpartisan countywide. Was that a question?
Regarding the redistricting for pre-existing seats that already exist, once the districts come into play, will you have to, if you're in that district, essentially go up again even if you're outside of your election cycle?
Thank you very much. In fact, it took me somebody had to explain this to me twice. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? But we're going to go from at-large seats. Everybody represents everybody. The 3 of us represent everybody in the county. And go to a district, you need to have a number on that seat. So somebody could be in a seat. Once you run for office, you'll hold that seat until it expires. But the 2-year seats, somebody could run for a seat. And if the voters pass a districting plan, all of a sudden they may or may not qualify for that same seat. So this is going to be really interesting in the next 2 years. If that happens, somebody won't be able to even run for the seat they're in, possibly. And that could happen to me or anybody. So we're going to have 4 names on the ballot in next May and next November. And a seat could be won outright if you get 50% of the vote or more in the primary. So that's why next May is going to be the I don't know if collision course or just the apex of this whole thing because it'll go downhill from there. So next May is going to be the most important election. 4 names will be on the ballot. And then 2 years later, 2 of those seats will have to run again, plus Commissioner Chang's seats. So there'll be 3 names in the ballot. And then 2 years later, the 2 seats that me and Commissioner Adair are in will be on the ballot. And then it'll go back to 3 again. But we're going to go to 4, 3, and 2. So it's interesting. It's going to be a 10-year evolution of what's going to happen in Deschutes County. So then what are the partisan issues? Development pressure, water. Thornburg was mentioned. Water. Do we believe that we're out of water? We have to stop development because of water? That's fine. That's a logical conclusion. But if you stop development hard, and this was explained to me too in the 70s, as I say, I wasn't paying attention, but in the early 70s, Napa, California did this. They said, we love it so much, the grape value is so valuable, we have got to stop development. What happened? Population doubled and prices doubled instantly because they stopped development hard. And that's what's being proposed by some folks here. But that's one of the most controversial or one of those topics where you're going to be asked, hey, who wants to stop development? I do, I like it here. I don't want anybody else to come here. But if you stop it hard, that might not be the right thing to do. But that's going to be a campaign issue like nobody's business. You know, the water for Thornburg, I'll take a step into that a little bit. They've transferred a lot of big water rights to get the authority to do this. And they have a geologist report that has come to the Board of Commissioners. The appeal says, hey, we've run out of water, you can't allow them to do this. But there's no counterfactual evidence, so it's only an appeal that ever ends up in front of us. People want it to be stopped, but really it was approved almost 20 years ago, and it's being bounced around the appeal process. So the only recent things we've done is say, yes, this is a reasonable engineering report about water. That was the question that was in front of us. And it gets spun in the media like, you love developments, you just want the tax money. It's like, all we were asked is this a reasonable engineering report, yes or no? Which means that it hasn't stopped, which means it's still going to proceed. So I'm just letting you know, it is hard to receive the feedback sometimes about, you know, who thinks I'm doing what for what reason, because yeah, when you get down to it, was that a reasonable engineering report, yes or no? And some reasonable people say no. I said yes, so that's what that is for Thornburg. Yeah, so any other topics? As I say, I can go down my list a little bit.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for coming today and also coming to our Vintner Center many years. Your wife has come and supported us.
I don't think I made it this year, but I've been invited every year. Yeah, so I usually try to get there. Yep. Thank you.
I had a question about the traffic around the fairgrounds. We've had some pretty large concerts. Seems like we haven't got it fixed yet. So any solutions there? Any thoughts there?
Well, thank you very much. The master planning for the fairgrounds. So there's a big picture out there, and yeah, this will keep us going for another few minutes. Deschutes County Fairgrounds. You know, the citizens voted 20-something years ago, about 25 years ago, to transfer, you know, where Fred Meyer is now, to build the new fairgrounds, right? And that was a $20 million bond. $20 million seemed like big money at the time, but we're building a $40 million courthouse in downtown Bend, which is just a building now, so $20 million. So the voters were very generous in doing that. Big celebration. We've got one of the best facilities in the West Coast. The land is there and the buildings are there. So that's our fairgrounds. We just had a great fair, the annual county fair, and that big concert right before it. But we're in this catch-22 right now where how do we rent it out for enough revenue to reinvest in it now that it's getting to be 20-something years old, because we can't even change the carpet or paint the buildings, or we're just going to ride it down. And most fairgrounds in the state are like that. You know, when they're 75 and 100-year-old fairgrounds, you just ride them down. And we're trying not to do that. So that's why we would come up with the big concert. And I had people come in from around the state. A commissioner called me as they were driving into Redmond for the concert, said, are we going to see you at the concert? And I'm like, no, thank you. I don't want to be in that traffic. But people really like to come to this event here. And it's a wonderful setting. When I drove in here, what about that road 19th Street that's being paved right out here? That's the magic answer, is getting 19th Street, and it's not going to be done yet, getting it out and then getting a overpass on 97. Also, north, going 9th Street is going to be cut through the old golf course, and then the idea is to make a east side bypass over there, and the city is working on that very specifically. Everybody knows it's a problem. I remember our son was young, and before I was a commissioner, we went to the fair one time, and he's like 2 or 3, and we were out there, and we went to the rodeo, and the concert was outside, and we got to the car about 10 o'clock, and we sat there for an hour and a half, and I'm like, I got burned, you know, 25 years ago as a parent of a young kid. But I learned, you know, oh, you don't plan that. So we've been basically camping there every summer ever since, and as a commissioner, it works out great for me. But yeah, there's things happening on that transportation, and there's big things that could happen. That 19th Street, DSL land, the Department of State Lands owns the big industrial land that goes south from the town here. And there's been some big national plays, people that want to come in here. It's a function of electricity, access to water and sewer. But there'll be a tipping point where that gets built out, and all of a sudden we have some really nice connections over there. But that means growing the city too, so it's always a balance. And yeah, Joanne here, she's smiling. She knows we're right in the middle of a lot of this stuff. So there is a master planning effort. Sorry?
Just at the beginning of the big boom, when I came to work in 2000, we were 12,000 people. When I left in 2007, we were 24. So we had doubled in that time. And yeah, water sort out, and then it just keeps doubling.
So that brings to mind the city of La Pine just finished a water and sewer project in their borders. It's 7 square miles, and the citizens voted in 2007 or 8 or something to create that new city. It's the youngest city in the state of Oregon. Deschutes County is the youngest county in the state of Oregon. Remember, we seceded from Crook County in 1916, because the railroad came up here instead of went down there. That's why that all happened. But the city of La Pine is ready. It's ready for a lot of housing because they finished that water and sewer, and the footprint that was voted on by the people has just big open spaces in there. So I always think about that. You know, people are still stumbling. A lot of development in Redmond, a lot of development in Bend. People are still wanting to be here. And poor La Pine's going to go from 2,000 to 5,000 to 10, and all of a sudden 20,000 people or something too. So that's going to happen down there at some point also. But yeah, does that answer your question? I mean, just big vision type stuff. Off of 126 is 21st Street, and that's going to be another paved road. Right now it's going to go to Oasis Village, and then there's a managed camp that's coming in there, but also that Core 3 facility. So there's going to be a paved road off of 126 right by the smoke jumper base over there. But then the 21st Street is another connection, like to Antler at some point. So all of a sudden, if you go, and I think they opened up the road after the big concert to get right out into 126. It was like a dirt path behind the fairgrounds. If they make that an access, even just temporarily, then you can get to 21st and zigzag through town. So there's other things going to be open here in the near future. Which brings us to ODOT though. So think about this, the legislature couldn't get finalized, couldn't land a transportation package. We want to see them be able to do that. So they're going to get together in a couple weeks, and they're talking about adding 6 cents to the gas tax. So it's 40 cents per gallon right now, adding 6 cents to 46. It's really important they do something. They do something because it's not just ODOT, but it's cities and counties too. The gas tax needs to kind of follow the inflationary costs of doing business. And it's a disaster right now. If you have flat income and everything's costing a lot more, you're going to get a lot less service. So I'm just leaning into this ODOT transportation package, and please, give a thumbs up to something there. And it's basically just escalating with the times, which is a shame. It's an inflationary environment, but we do want to maintain our roads. So.
Can you give an update on Core 3? I know the last time someone talked about it, they were still in the gathering funds stages.
Yeah. Thank you so much. What's wonderful is Core 3 is like a brand name that we know about now. So it's just an idea that came together. And it was public safety, fire and police, sheriff's offices, tri-county area, ready, response, and resilient to disaster. But really a training center is the first thing it could be. There's some interesting dynamics here too. Remember, this is just north of 126. We got that runway protection zone, which was just fenced off. It's a little triangle out there, and it's really just the south fence of that's going to be the north fence of that's going to be the south fence of Core 3. So that is where Core 3 is. Used to be the Rod and Gun Club out there. Used to be Redmond Police training facility, gun training yard out there also. There's homeless out there right now. There's also World War II waste cells in the ground. So when the airport was in back in the day, World War II days, Roberts Field, there was just, we're going to put garbage in this spot. So there's just these little spots where there's kind of industrial waste from World War II even still out there. So that's one of the opportunities. It's redeveloping kind of a brownfield area. Plus the public safety goal is to do this. State agencies have stepped up and they're like, oh yeah, we'd like to do this. We've had other agencies from around the state say if there was a skills pad, which is just a paved asphalt area, square, they could practice, maybe driving a large. So whoever gets to drive a big full fire truck full of water, and other than on the road, just bring out that there. And Tom's right here in the room, but also pursuit training, acceleration, decelerating, just maneuver practicing for police. So we have agencies coming to us all around the state for that. State legislature leaned into this. They really liked the idea. Everybody was thumbs up. Everybody nods yes. We asked for $15 million. The Core 3 committee asked for $15 million a year, and they committed to $10 million, which is wonderful. We have a design and engineering group working on what would phase 1 look like. Another interesting dynamic here is we already broke it into phases, phase 1, 2, and 3. The Front Range in Denver, multiple counties have facilities like this, but it's because they don't have a statewide DPSST that does public safety training. Each agency has to do their own training. So we were able to go contact these facilities and learn about what they do and how they're used, how they're scheduled, and it's very much like what we'd like to do. But we saw a couple examples of, yeah, we built phase 1 15 years ago, and now nobody's even working on phase 2. So it's always tricky about how do you do this? Because it's a big capital public investment for the good of public safety, but getting from phase 1 to phase 2 is already, you learned about, we got to keep an eye on this. The goal is to have a front gate, have it fenced off, have that 21st Street entrance, have a skills pad, some type of covered area or a building. We're not sure how much we're going to be able to build in phase 1, and the remediation of solid waste and rod and gun club, because for the lead from the old history of that, all you need to do is cap it, just cover it. So it's not a real dangerous situation other than you want to control it over the long term. So any paving we can do will just be optimal over the old rod and gun club range out there. So that's kind of the current status right now. Obviously, we'll go back to the legislature and say, hey, is there any more? So we'll work what that looks like. But we've also put about $1 million cash together with our tri-county agencies. Every year, by the number of sworn personnel or FTE, we're asking the agencies that are at the table to just write a check so we can have some cash flowing through this organization. And that's pre-services. As soon as we get just a simple square put down with a fence-controlled area, we can have training there. DPSST is our public safety training services statewide. They've already come to us and said, oh yeah, we'd love to do something there, because then we can bring in the agencies from Eastern Oregon and they don't have to drive all the way down to Salem. So it looks like there's huge support, a lot of good logic for that. But just like I said, the fairgrounds was $20 million. We already put almost $20 million together, but that's just a drop in the bucket to get water, sewer, power, fence, front gate, and then we still have a bunch of dirt, and then we can build, so that's going to be $20 million. It's not going to be a done project yet. But it's thumbs up from everybody on that.
Maybe a word about the landfill site.
So we walked down a path. I thought we were holding hands with Hooker Creek, and man, did we run into a wall. So we selected a site, right? A advisory committee of citizens, very professional. We hired a consulting company, put a spreadsheet together. What's the positives and negatives? Is there water available? What about the land use, environmental issues, access, getting the road there, getting the power to it? And Hooker Creek, they invited us out there to go look at that property and everything. And all of a sudden, we get to negotiate, and they said, well, just write us a check for $15.5 million, and then we'll proceed. We're like, oh, we need to do an appraisal. And it's public lands, public money. How about an appraisal? They're like, no, we'd already set the price. Just write us a check. We're good. And we're like, well, so there was just a big disconnect. It was just odd how it ended up happening. But good for them. I mean, they're private property owners. There's land use associated with that. It is an aggregate site where they can, blast and crush rock. So we had to walk away from that one. Just yesterday, COID had a parcel that they were offering basically off on Dodds Road, if anybody followed that. And they had a board meeting and said, no, let's not do that. But there was a parcel that we would have had, it wouldn't have been optimal, but we could have dug down into the ground because it's just kind of an open area, and having covered dirt and everything, it would have been kind of complicated, but that's off the table now. That was as of yesterday. And now across the Highway 20 is Knife River, ODOT, Deschutes County already has a parcel, and that may be an opportunity. So you're kind of leaving Bend, Highway 20, instead of going left to Hooker Creek, we maybe go right to the Knife River property. I think that may be what's going to come out. The advisory committee is still doing their due diligence on that, and it's expected in the next few months. So that's the day, when the advisory committee says this is the next highest priority opportunity. Then it'll get quiet though, because it'll be lawyer to lawyer talking about, how do we get an appraisal? What's the legal agreement that we're going to execute on this? And that's what happened last time. It went quiet for a while and then it just stopped. But I think we're going to get there. And it's important because the cost of solid waste disposal, if we can get that local site, and it hasn't happened in Oregon in a generation, if we can get that site, the trucks are only going 15 or 20 miles. We've got control of the back end of this thing. We can say next year and the year after and 5 years from now, the cost of doing business is going to be this. Because if we sign up for a regional landfill, and God bless the free market system, but if we sign up for a regional landfill owned by a corporation, they're going to give us a great deal for about 10 years, and then we'll be at their mercy, right? So that's what we're trying to do here. Have control over the next 100 years or whatever, just the big long term here. Recycling efforts are coming online by law right now, recycling modernization. So when we have this new site, we'll have material separation, processing, we'll invest in it. But we're going to be able to kind of hold that line on the escalation of costs. It'll be very cost effective. We haven't hit $100 a ton tipping fee, which is exciting because most places have. So we're still below that number. That's the big picture. And I feel the pressure of time now, but. Okay.
Could you just take a few minutes and talk about homelessness and how that's going to impact this end of the county?
So as you were talking about volunteering at the food kitchen and coming up with money here, we have got to get serious about this. And my point is, it's on our table, right? Deschutes County Commissioners make decision about long-term unsanctioned camping. East side of Redmond has been run over for 6, 8, 10 years now. It's what a shame. But this is a controversial statement. I haven't made this in public before, but are we working against ourselves? We are donating to a nonprofit that's giving people food, which is helping people on the east side. We want to help somebody that wants help, but we're empowering some people that probably shouldn't be out there too. So we have got to take a step back as a community and say, how are we going to get serious about this? And I think we're on the downside. I don't think it's getting worse now. I think it's going to be on the downside. But it's a shame when I'm talking to a nonprofit service provider that gets mad at me because I'm trying to get serious about homeless and they want money from me. It's like, well, how am I supposed to deal with this situation? So I would ask that we get serious about supporting the people that need help. They're raising their hand, asking for help, asking for some very troubled people that need their mental health addiction services to step up or do it against their will. And then set the cultural expectation that we can't have this anymore. As I say, I think we're going in the downhill side of this, and that's going to be the future. But it has been such a challenge, right? We legalized marijuana and psilocybin and decriminalized drugs, and then COVID happened. So there's just extenuating circumstances. And then public lands around us. It's always been wonderful to have public lands. All of a sudden, they're like, I'm just going to sit right here, and somebody's going to bring me a sandwich someday. And it happens, and we've got to work on that.
So even before COVID, many years ago, the state's budgets for the mental hospitals.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, and there's no easy answers here. So that's deinstitutionalization in the 60s, JFK. Say, well, we're not going to have the one flew over the cuckoo's nest. We're not going to let this happen in our society, right? And that was the right moment. But I think it's gone too far. It was like, I guess, I forget the number. In fact, I think I might have it. It's like 450 per 100,000 or something were either institutionalized or on the verge of it. And we were down to like 100. So there's probably a number in the middle there, because there's some really struggling people that are out in the woods or on the side of the road or whatever. And as I say, I do not say this with anger or vengeance, but we have got to figure out what we're going to do. But that's state, right? We have the local health authority as your board of commissioners, but we don't have general fund dollars for it. We live in the Measure 550 world where our numbers are known for our tax rate, which is good as a property owner. It's going to go up 3%. But we have no way to fund that next behavioral health, mental health hospital. It's a statewide decision at that point.
Tony, I'd just like to thank you and all the county commissioners for doing what you do. If you haven't served on those kind of committees, you don't understand the pressure these guys are under. Because everybody here is an expert. And you go to the board and you tell them. Except you're not an expert, I hate to tell you that. And these guys have to balance it. And so those people who can sit up there and do an honest job of balancing and serve and take the flack that comes with the job, I appreciate what you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you.
And you should know, Earl, because you've done that.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe
Right.
one more topic, the fire map?
Yeah, so the fire map today, that was on our board meeting today, was the outcome of the state pulling the fire map. We had to change our code because we had references to the fire map for accessory dwelling units. When you have a property that's 2 acres or more in the rural county, you can come in and asked to put a small house up to 900 square feet within 100 feet of the existing dwelling. And we said, well, you have to do fire hardening per the state map, and now that went away. So the state map became a real push and pull situation. And think about this, I got calls on that. Why does my neighbor have a property that's different than mine? You know, theirs is higher, mine's lower, theirs is lower, mine's higher. Nobody could answer those questions, and that was really the problem. We have done mapping exercises in Deschutes County. I say that we live in a high danger, fire-prone county. The whole county is like that. So yeah, let's figure out what we're gonna do. But that fire map just hurt people's heads. And they wanted to appeal it to high heaven. Don't you tell me what my rating is. And it was, people are spending way too much time for that. Commissioner Chang sat next to me and said, this is government, this is good, you shall comply. And that's a political view that I don't follow that specifically. Private property rights, best practices. We do Project Wildfire. If you have questions, come to Project Wildfire, ask about it. Just cleaning the needles out of your gutters, cutting down a tree close to your house, making sure the bushes aren't up under the windows. You can survive a wildfire. But yeah, any other questions on that? Yeah, so that's my thought.
All right, thank you, Tony.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure
Yeah.
someone's gonna wanna take a picture here.
Oh, okay.
Stay where you are, though, we've got 50-50 to do, real quick.
Would you mind drawing a take down?
Uh-oh. Okay.
Read the last three.
Here you go, someone. Oh, here it is. 376. 376.
376.
Big winner.
Hey, Chris. All right. All right, thanks to Tony, okay?
Oh, yeah, here we go. Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming today and talking about Don.
Yeah, that was nice.
Appreciate it.
You really just inspired me to go home and call my granddaughter. Tony told me